Hello, this is Mish. Welcome to a video on a new TV show called Taboo. So this is my initial thoughts on the premiere, quick overview, and some predictions for the season. This will contain spoilers. So if you've not watched the episode, go and watch it, then come back and have a listen. So my thoughts and interpretation of how the first episode was. Great acting, great locations, very authentic, very slow paced, but it's very dark and not for the faint of hearted. I think this is going to get even darker as the show progresses as well. So this was created by Tom Hardy and Stephen Knight. Tom Hardy is credited as a writer, producer, and obviously as an actor in Taboo. So as you would expect, it's very centric around the character he plays. So that is James Delaney. So if you have a particular dislike for Tom Hardy as an actor, I'd advise against watching it because there aren't many scenes in this so far without him in it. But he's definitely a standout performer in this first episode. So all the acting I found was really good. A great comparison would be with the Emerald City that came out a few days ago. They had a very average acting across the board. The difference with Taboo, it was, this is for me on par with Westworld, Game of Thrones level acting, so it's really good. So speaking of Game of Thrones, we have some actors that have actually transferred across from Game of Thrones to this show. So we have Jonathan Pryce, and Ona Chaplin, and Roger Ashton Griffith. So all the acting from them in the first episode was very good. And it's great to see those actors again, as they're all pretty cool in Game of Thrones as well. So let's talk about the story so far, just a quick overview of what's actually happened in this first episode. So the story so far, let's talk about James briefly and his history. So James joined the East Indian Company. It has a private army and he joined there. So his career was doing very well within that little private army. And something occurred after 2 years in the army and he kind of went crazy, so the rumours have it. So last known whereabouts of him was on a ship that was going to Africa and it sunk. So therefore everyone thought he was dead. So let's jump to the now. And his father, Horace Delaney, has actually died. So he has been poisoned by arsenic. His father owned a small coastline on the west of America that he purchased from Native Americans in the same deal which he got his wife. So clearly he's had this land for a long time, as the wife that he purchased is actually mother to James. So the East Indian Company has been very interested in trying to get this land from him, and I think it realised that it can't get it from him, therefore they've been targeting his daughter. So working with her to organise when he dies that she can transition that land to them. As they somehow knew that her father was going to die. Interesting. So he does die. And obviously James heads home, but he was only aware of his father's sickness, so he was heading home to help him. So James comes in and steals that coastland away from the East Indian Company. And that's kind of where we're at now. So the East Indian Company is kind of trying to rethink on how to get the land from James. We see James trying to figure out what his father was doing. So that's kind of where we're at. There's a lot more little intricacies, but that's just a bit of an overview. So a few points that I want to raise. So this show is still in its infancy, so it's hard to start theorizing and asking questions until we start getting our hooks into the main storyline. But I'll leave you with just two interesting points that I want to raise, and give you a few ideas that have crossed my mind to answer those questions. But obviously, I want to hear your guys' feedback if you've watched the show on these questions as well. So who killed Horace Delaney, so James's father? So we know it was obviously done by arsenic. So for me, I think there's two possible options here. So, Horace's daughter, her husband, so that is Thorn. I think that is one big option. He could have been working, shoulder tapped by the East Indian Corporation, saying, take care of the father, and we'll obviously work with you to trade that land. So that is definitely a big option. Another option is Bryce the butler. Now I don't like that option too much because he seems to be very loyal. But in saying that, it makes sense because he is the person, he's the butler for that household. He would have been feeding Horace. So it makes sense for it to be him because of that situation. But I kind of don't like that because that character seems quite cool. So either way, I think if it's going to be Thorn or if it's going to be Brace, they would have been paid by the East Indian Corporation to do that, to transition, the land to the daughter. Then they can get the land legally, as opposed to trying to fight Horace for it. And the final question: what is the history between James Delaney and his half sister Zilpha? There is multiple awkward scenes that would suggest something really unsavory has occurred. One option, I think, is that boy is actually their son. So is it a coincidence that the boy has been looked after for 10 years? It's the same timing as to when James went crazy and went missing. So perhaps that's an option. It's actually nothing to do with James's father. It's actually his son. And it was, obviously a pretty strange situation that's occurred there, but there's definitely something going on because there's multiple really awkward scenes that it's not a brother-sister situation. But yeah, so I'll leave this video here. Let me know your guys' thoughts on the show. Have you watched it? Did you like it? And also, if you want to try and answer these questions as well. Interested to see where this goes, and I want to see, I guess, more, just to try and theorize some more, because I think this show is going to be quite in-depth, so it should be pretty cool. So I'll leave this video here. Thanks for watching, and as always, like and comment and subscribe for future content from myself. And until next time, this is Mesh, and I'll see you later.